Sorry.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Committed Chronicles with Sonny and Lisa.
Sorry.
Lisa Williams, Sonny Williams, and we are co-founders of Committed to Us, a community of committed couples who want to be in a community of people that are encouraged by being married and celebrating the wins and getting support through those challenges. Mr. Williams, how are you today?
I'm good. I feel rested. I was hit for a few days there. I had some overtime, so I'm sure it was not pleasant for you to see me like that.
No, it was not. No, it was not. No, it was not. Let's see. How's your week? With the overtime and all of that. You feel
Better
drained?
now. I'm
Better
better
now?
now. Yeah, I was
Okay.
I was drained. But yeah, and I had to apologize to you for because I already knew. I was like, I know I'm not showing up the same right now, so I did have to come and apologize to you because felt like I felt like I you know wasn't giving my all. So I did come to you and say,
Okay.
like I noticed,
You noticed?
like I
Okay.
know that I'm not where I'm normally am. So I wanted to make sure you knew that I knew.
That you wouldn't. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I could do that.
So yeah, instead of just assuming that you were cool, I wanted to kind of
Okay.
check in. So that is some growth. That is some growth.
Yes, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. And last time when we had our live,
Mm,
we had a little bit of beef in the
hmm
beginning. What I what I will say is that we we were able to manage that, and we actually had a situation later on the week with the same issue with the car. And I do appreciate that you made sure that we didn't have any more miscommunications, and
mm.
you came to me to make sure that I had
We avoided the situation because we
we
communicated better.
avoided
Yeah,
the a
yeah,
repeat of the situation
right.
because we made sure that
hmm
there was no distractions when we were talking, and that when you asked the question, I was engaged into the conversation so that I would not
Yeah,
say something different.
and that's on both people because if you're looking at your phone and I'm thinking you're listening, you may not have heard everything I said. So
Right.
and vice versa. So it's on both parties. I mean, you make sure.
And I appreciate it because I felt like you heard my concerns about the way everything went around. So
Mhm.
I think we came out better. We kind of chuckled, like, you actually came in and asked. So I was like, make sure that I didn't have a problem because you communicated. Communication is a wonderful thing.
hmm
It is a wonderful, wonderful
hmm
thing. So, let's see. This week has it been a busy week? I don't know. It just kind of went by really, really fast, and things for the children, running around doing those things. We had a celebration for my father today, so that's where I was at earlier today, and just been able to spend some time with him and listening to his wishes for his family. So that was interesting. That was interesting, but um,
And I just want to mention on that, like I think you've taken the tools we've learned and you use it for your parents.
mhm.
All your relationships, because
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it, the same tools work.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah. Oh,
so
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
that's big. I mean, you just have to prioritize things, but the same tools work for all relationships, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm finding that as we are going on this journey of, I guess, I think we are more mindful now that we are expressing it outwards to other people. I think before it was just, something that we lived in our little world, but I think I'm more mindful. I know there was a situation earlier today that I could not figure out how to way to ground myself. I was not in a good space, but I appreciate that I have friends around me that can bring me back. And so I was able to see the situation for what it was. But yeah, I think
I
it's
think I know what you're
amazing
talking
when
about
you
now.
when you have people that are for you, which is the same thing like having people surround you that are in marriage that are for your marriage,
Mm.
because I think that speaks volumes because they breathe life into it, and you
hmm
can breathe life into theirs.
Right.
So absolutely, absolutely. So let's see, hot topic for today. There was and it'll probably be the hot topic that goes into our discussion. So there, what's her name? Her name is she's from Destiny's Child. So Latoya Luckett, if I'm saying her name correctly. Anyway, she did a some kind of podcast where she was saying, because she's divorced, and so she was saying going into her next relationship that she was going to make sure that her husband was first, because she has children. And then she said she wanted to make sure that her husband was first in her next relationship, because she wanted to be married again. And I believe that a lot of people kind of gave her the side eye, about putting her man before her children. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that would be a good topic to discuss, because it's not just children, it's family, it's a lot of things that can take the priority of a spouse. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's really ever talked about. I think, when you get married, like, you're supposed to say yes, to say that I am not putting my children first kind of is like, then, you're a terrible parent. But if you look at it from the longevity of it, if you don't put the spouse first, what happens when the children leave? Or what happens if you put family above your spouse? Like, the whole toll I think it takes on the relationship. Mm-hmm. And so, I remember asking you earlier this week, and what were your thoughts about that?
No, I think it can be passed down. I think it's you could see that happen, and then you think that's the way to do it, so you don't know. I don't think people are purposely trying to do that. I think they just, you know what I mean? I think they find themselves in their emotions, and then they're like, oh, that's my, because I think it even happens with maybe not even with, not necessarily stepchildren. Like, I think there was a time where I've been disciplined, and then you're like, hey, that's my, you just jump into that mommy mode, and mm-hmm. and it's like, so I don't think they always do it like, oh, I'm going to exile my, spouse, but I think sometimes it gets passed down. I think there's different emotions that pop up, and then next thing you know, they're doing it. So I don't think they like set out to do. I think they just get in that, and then next thing you know, they're in that mode and in that rut, mm-hmm. and they just keep doing it that way because that's how they've been rolling.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you half, but mm-hmm. but I do know some women that once the child comes,
they just say it out.
That's my focus. He's going to have to be okay, because our focus right now is to make sure these kids get to where they need to be.
Okay.
So I've experienced both sides of it, and mm-hmm. you're right. It's about upbringing. I think when there is no husband or man in the household, and the mom has the children, if a man should come in, because you've spent that time with those children, they did become the most important. And I think that if there's like if there's a marriage or a remarriage, second marriage, it's kind of hard to separate those mm-hmm. lines sometimes. And then also, there is I think in our case, when we got married, you had children. So there was making sure that the children were okay, because, you had been married before. So making sure that, she was navigating that. And for me, sometimes it seemed a little excessive.
Right. Overcompensation.
Yeah. So
and that's what I meant by it's not always on like a level of like, I'm going to, right. I think sometimes you're just finding yourself in that position. But I do understand what you're saying, though. I do know I think I have seen on a few occasions where mm-hmm. it's like blatant. So
I've seen blatant, like the man doesn't mean anything, or, more so I've seen it. The man, just takes a side,
right.
just moves to the side because, we're trying to, get these children. And then once the children are gone, then they're looking at each other and they're like,
you ain't care about me before. And now you want to
right. Like, so then there's the resentment right. that's built up over the years. Right. And so how do you, there has to be a way to balance that. And I know, like, even for us,
see,
the mother role, yes, that's right, Miss Ellen. The mother role takes over very strong, and And I don't know. So I wonder if the role is so strong that the man kind of shrinks just because, or which goes to your point saying it's not intentional.
Hmm.
Does the man feel that he can't?
Yes, there are times where two reasons. I mean, more than one reason. There are times where they do feel that way, and they know they don't want to bump up against that, so they like, oh, you can see people some reactions sometimes when you go to put your toe in the water, and it's like, and they burn you are going to back down, like, okay, that's I'm not going to go there because
Mhm.
they almost bit my head off. So you got that back down, and then you got some of us out of laziness. Some dudes don't do, we can't do what y'all do. So some of them just fall back because they just lazy anyway. But I think a lot of times when you have a good man and you see them fall back, it's because of the first thing is, they are more like, okay, Mama Bear, I ain't gonna mess with it. I'm just saying, I just ain't gonna mess with it. Whatever she say, I'm,
So
I'm
does you
fall in
think
line.
that's where the resentment comes in because they don't feel that they're a priority because the mother strong, their mother role is so.
I don't think it does an immediate build. It just after one, two, three different times you try to interject, say, hey, I think this, and it's you like after a while you're like, okay, and then you don't feel her, and anybody who doesn't feel her is going to start building resentment.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I just think a lot of times because we don't communicate as often or as deeply as y'all, that sometimes it's like, oh, he all right, but yeah, there's that same type of resentment, maybe not on the same level, but yeah, definitely it does
Okay.
build up.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and I think like I said before, before we had, when we first got married and we had when I had my bonus children, I did not know where I was supposed to fit in. So I kind of felt like.
And that's another thing. There's just confusion, period.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know.
That's not talked about, really.
It's not talked about, especially when you have outside people that are trying to taint a genuine innocent relationship.
Mhm.
Like for me, it was just, I'm just trying to be here to help. Didn't want to be, their mother. Just, I'm your helpmeet. So, can I have a role? And it was very hard for us because those outside influences didn't want that. And it was very, very, very evident. So it was a struggle. It was a struggle for me. It was definitely a struggle.
Gender roles.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so I think that whole, and then the gender
See, there's layers.
It's so many layers to it that it's very easy to just fall into this rut.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I think, and another thing I think, because I think that there's a pyramid to priority in marriage. Like there should be God at the top, and then your spouse, and then at the base, the spouse is in the middle, and then at the baseline, your children and your family. And I know sometimes, like for me, you had to tell me some days, like we're not going to go to church. That doesn't mean that we are not putting God first.
Right.
What it means is that we are putting you and I and the family first. So for me, growing up in a household where church was very, very, very important.
Right.
I did not. It took me a minute to understand.
So say your order again.
Okay.
Because I think I'm on the same boat, but I think I have a couple or another one in there.
Okay, so I would say the top would be God. Not necessarily your church relationship, but your relationship with God. That individual growth with God. Then your spouse. Then your children and family and everything else.
Right.
So what are you saying?
So I just add on to that because a lot of people have jobs are made priority. So I put community right after what you just said. I will put community because some of us tend to go out and serve community. Whether it's the job or whether it's missionary work or whatever. So I still have the same order as you, but on the right under that I put community just so we could keep a order to things. When something comes up or something bumps up against something else, we can go ahead and say, okay, well, we already know the order to that thing. It don't have to be a big discussion or a bunch of confusion. We can kind of drop those in the order that they go and that they fit in. So that was the other thing. Because I mean, sometimes the job be trying to get you to do some people to do stuff outside of what they're supposed to be doing, like come to this function. It's a good
Networking.
networking thing. So
Networking thing, yeah.
'cause, yeah, I think your job, and you wasn't trying to do. I was like, listen, we can just as long as we're doing it in order, So, yeah, I think that has definitely helped us go get through. I don't know. That would have been if we didn't have that. We had that even when we was going through our mess, so that helped sift through a lot of
a little
stuff.
bit,
Yeah.
yeah. And then with that, there was the healthy boundaries. And like I said in the beginning, we didn't have the most healthiest boundaries. And that was, children wise and just family wise. I think, like I said, coming in as a stepmother to two children from, two different mothers, it was a lot. And I think for you, so what I will say, the one thing that we, because I would always wonder why you didn't put them in their place when I felt things were not flowing the way they should be. And, you would always say, well, I don't care about them. I care about you. And, I'm like, well, you need to check them one good time and we'll get this stuff smoothed out with the boundaries. And it took us a long, it took us a long time to really get to a place. And part of it had to be compromised, because part of it I had to just stop thinking that you would address it the way I wanted you to address it.
Yeah, some people you give attention to, and have actually satisfied their thirst. You've actually quenched their thirst by giving them attention, because they're actually trying to get attention from you.
Okay.
So
I know it now. In the thick of it, it wasn't.
Sometimes you get that, and they want a reaction. Sometimes you ignore people; they do go away, and they did go away.
Years later,
they did go away. I know it felt like, but you kept stuff going. Look out here at some of this stuff out here. Look at some of the celebrities, and look how much of a mess it keeps going and keeps going.
Okay. I mean, okay, yeah. So I know that was, we got on it, and it wasn't easy, because I know that there were times that I just probably went to bed mad, like, this is not.
But you got to remember our base. Like, if I'm going to pray, I'm not going to worry too.
Okay.
I'm gonna let God, because some stuff is bigger than you. So
yeah. Okay. All right. I get it. Yeah. And the balance is necessary to hit. Yeah. To keep it flowing smoothly. I get it. I just in my world, I would have. I don't know. I guess if we had to do it all over again, now that hindsight's 2020, I think. There probably should have been a little bit better communication on all parts. And there really wasn't. There wasn't any. There
was communication, just wasn't. It wasn't good communication.
Yeah, we had very poor communication with ourselves and with them, and a lot of stuff was allowed that, in hindsight, we would have been stronger and we wouldn't have done it. So that is with the children, and even with the family. I know that what I have learned. With doing the priority, because I guess, what I've seen on TV and what I see with like people that have like really, really, really good relationships with their parents, when they get married, their relationship continues. But I kind of felt, for me, there had to be a healthy boundary with that. Like, I couldn't share everything that we were going through, because if I decided to forgive you and give you grace and go through it, they were not probably going to be on that same page.
You've seen that happen.
Yeah, because I've seen that happen. And so I know, definitely boundaries. And I know that for me, I had to, because I remember early on, like I said, you were a runner. So early on, when we had, like, I think for the very first time, I went straight to my mama's house. And probably shouldn't have done that, but I didn't. At that point, I didn't know how to ground myself. I did not know how to. I was hurt and I was pissed. So I went to the person that I know was going to give me a hug and say all the words that I needed to hear.
She gave you a hug?
She did.
Really?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen her give you a hug.
She has.
Okay.
But what I learned out of that was, then when we still decided to, keep going forward, it took a long time for that grace to come to you. So because so I learned my lesson in that everything that goes on in this house cannot be shared with family. Not to say that I don't have some really, really good friends that I was able to not tell everything, but tell some things to, and be able to voice it. I just know that family probably should not be, everybody can't handle when you're going through your mess.
Right.
So I think that there were definitely some healthy boundaries that we had to put up to make sure that I didn't lose sight of still keeping our relationship at the forefront. Because I mean, I could have, I think that is, and sometimes, I will say this, as women, we can get into a space where we think that we're right in what we do, and that does not always translate to the best. I don't even know the word. The best. I don't know. Me being the best person that I should be. I think, because sometimes your girlfriends can pump you up so high that, we're gonna stay married, but you ain't gonna never, be at that level that you were at. So that's what I'm saying. So I had to figure that part out and know what I could say and what I couldn't say. But
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna let you talk. So yeah. So I mean, I think for me, that was a lesson learned about having everybody in the midst of when you're trying to get to the other side of stuff.
Yeah, I think the same thing happens, like for men, just not obviously not the amount of, because we don't probably think of as many things that we're trying to affect or something, So I think because I had to do the same thing, like with my brother and my dad and stuff, I had to limit, how much I'm gonna give, how much information I'm gonna give. Right. So that way, the same deal. So they're not sitting there looking at you like,
right,
and then telling me to run, like, hey, because I wasn't the only runner in my family, so. So they might have been like, get out of there.
You had a whole team. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I think it works the same way, not exactly the same, but
yeah. And I think you still need some solid people in your life to help you to still navigate that, so that the priority, that level doesn't change. Like, and then once we had children and they were in the house, then, it would have been easy for me to just put my focus on caring for them at that young of an age, and I guess icing you out. But I mean, I kind of like you, so I wanted.
I was gonna say, how does that work? Like when people do that, what good does that do for them? What's the point?
So let me just say, I was never brought up, and so I can't speak to. I was never that girl that dreamed about being married, dreamed about having kids. Like I never had those.
Is this going into the answer? Or?
Yeah, it's going into the answer. Okay. So when I had kids, it was never about, oh, I've got my kids now, I don't need you anymore. It was, let's do this together.
So the people that it was, you're saying they're using people? Is that
I'm not.
I'm just trying to clarify.
No, so no. Let me just say, I do believe that there are some people whose goal is to have children by any means necessary, because they have that yearning to have children. And I think once the children come, sometimes the relationship takes a back seat because all their yearning has been to have children.
Okay.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's good, but I do know that there are some people that, that is very, very, very important to them. And so I can only speak on me that that was never my thing. I like you, and I'm like, well, we're going to raise these kids together. We're going to do this as a team. But I have seen it done definitely the other way.
Okay.
So.
I don't know if that's just that.
Right. And I think once the kids, if you if you don't put that priority in, once the kids comes, the focus is shifted, and it's I mean, and it's rightfully so, but not, if that makes any sense. Like, it's right because they can't fend for themselves, but there has to. I don't think if you don't teach them when they're young that there is that priority. When they get older, they're going to always know that they come before that other,
Right.
that they come before the other person.
I've seen that, definitely. Yeah.
So spoiled kids, yeah, that know that mama she gonna ride or die for me, and daddy.
And they start using them against each other,
right? And then and kids just do that as a natural. That's naturally in them anyway. But if you give them anything, if you get any kind of ammunition, it's going to make it worse.
Right. Like, I know I got my mama rap or my daddy rap. I can get this toy. I'm just gonna pit them against each other. I'm gonna go get this toy. Yeah.
So so those are my thoughts on that. I think that there should always be, you know, and even so, and what I will say is, like, I always have made your plate before I even made the kids, and I know that people have always had their words about me even doing that. Like, you need to fix the kids' plate first, and I'm like, no, I'm not telling you to say anything. That was in the beginning when people didn't realize it. Now it's just a given. Like, anywhere we go, you know, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna make your plate. And so, but I do think in the beginning it was kind of hard. Like, we were at different functions. It was hard for people to see.
I understand that. Like, if you're just meeting someone and you're my sister and I see your man doing that, you know, you're making his plate. I am gonna be like, hey, let me watch and make sure he ain't beating her or something. Like, why is she making his plate? You know, I'm just saying. Sometimes families are wondering, like, well, because if they've never seen it, they were like, what's going on? Like, why is she making a plate? Even though it was just something that just like me opening the door for you, ain't making me open the door. So some people just never seen it. I mean, they just don't do it. So
I guess I never.
But I think they were looking out like, is that something he's trying to demand? It wasn't.
No, it was really truly something that I have always done. Like, you never asked for that. That is just something. Right. And I think for me, that was my small. Right. I'm not. It was just my small way of always putting you first.
And I always appreciate. I always said that I appreciated that, and that's kind of became our
that's our
tradition.
Thing. Yeah, that's our thing. Because I know that we've been at family reunions, and you know, I've had aunts like, well, fix your nah, I'm not fixing anybody a plate but my husband and maybe my father's if my mom ain't around. Like that, those were the extent of the men that I was going to ever fix.
There's some things I think old school. There's just some things that shouldn't be let go of. There's some things that should stay because there's a class to it, and I think some of our people. Some of our people had it right, and we just let it. We got too far away from it. So I like to keep some of it and pass it down, and let them see it. In front of them. Let our kids see a model. So I do appreciate that we have that. We've had that common thread. Again, we've had a lot more common thread than any negatives. It just obviously the negatives are going to be more.
Yeah, they were more pronounced. Yeah. They were definitely more pronounced. But I think for us, after figuring out like the first few years that we had to really put boundaries on who we allowed in our relationship, who we allowed to see, when we were having those struggles. I think it kind of gave us a better foundation, and we had to stop listening to a lot of people. Like, we really because he had team Sonny, he had a whole bunch on his team.
You see
right. So you had a whole bunch on your team, and so what I will say,
we was at your family reunions at the time you were talking about, but
we were at my family reunions, but I will say that whenever we were in your family functions, I felt like I had to try to fit in like double dutch because they were always catering to you and to the men. You more necessarily.
True.
Yeah.
I can't even.
So, like I said, I kind of felt like so where I think I've always put you as the spouse in the middle. I think early on in the marriage, I didn't know where I fit in there
Right.
because
You have to remember that is how I saw all of them doing it. I had no idea it was that out of pocket until I mean, we just now figuring out like some that what this year I think we're figuring out that we're saying some of my aunts and stuff are
I've been saying
for
it.
men.
I've been saying
To this degree, like we just
no,
seeing
to
it
this degree,
year.
you're right.
This year we really just really went wow, like y'all really. There was always the inkling, or I think it's because they think this way. This year it got flat out proven. I mean, it was just
yeah. Okay,
yeah.
I'll give you that. So yeah, so I think I kind of and then that could have been a part of a lot of our issues in the beginning because
unknowingly, yes,
because yes, I knew where you were. I don't think it was parlayed in your family and your traditions where a wife should be.
I didn't even know. Like you gotta remember, there was a lot of things you were helping me with in the beginning. A lot of smaller things that then we didn't even make it to that level of.
Right.
So
yeah,
I'm just being honest. I mean, I just watched a bunch of selfishness and thought it was normal. So that was just a bad setup.
Yeah.
And then as I grew and started listening more and started just watching, it done another way, I was like, okay,
right,
okay,
yeah, that's all. Yeah, time definitely does reveal. And right, yes. and he could not.
Yeah,
he could not see it. Yeah, he
wasn't really, even a thought.
It wasn't a thought. We just thought he really thought that it was normal, and which made me think that I was crazy. Because I've always said, my parents, they're still together, and so I kind of, used that as the model, but I kind of felt like,
yes, absolutely,
I did not know. And I always say to myself, when my son got older, I wanted to have a conversation with him, and even my daughter, like, you kind of really need to date the whole entire family so that you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Because I will just be honest, I think I was so enamored, just so head over heels, infatuated with you that
say it.
There were a lot of things that I overlooked. So then when we get married and those issues presented themselves, I did not react good about it at all.
Right.
I just, because it was the entire.
I give you credit because I mean, knowing what I know now, I'm like, yeah, no, I give you mad props. That was very mature, strong, courageous. I mean, it was everything. You were.
Yeah. So I think one thing that we're talking about the priorities in marriage. I think what we have been more intentional about is spending time with just you and I. You're right. He was all in his purple rain glory, and yeah, I was that sheltered child that he was just wow. And then I was like, wow.
Meet the family.
Wow. Wow.
This comes with this.
This comes with this, and it's great to think that you can. You're always thinking, okay, he's mine, he's my husband, and it's just gonna be me and him against the world. That didn't work for us. That really
at first.
Right now it is. Now it is. Yeah. In the beginning, the family tug, the family hold, it is something serious, and
they didn't let it go easy either. That was
no, they didn't. That was a fight. That was taking away their golden boy, and which I will say that I'm trying not to be that mother because I now have a son that I don't want to be.
See,
so I guess in hindsight,
so you started understanding some stuff too.
I now know what I can't be.
Yeah.
When my son, finds.
She says that, but she's still times where
oh, they just girlfriends now. They don't count. I'm talking about when he.
And you still had a tug. You still had a headlock on sometimes.
Because I could see it. I have the spirit of discernment. I could see it. Y'all want to act like I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, you're right. You got it. I'm just saying that you had the headlock. You got it.
Okay. So I now know what I don't want to present myself when our son decides to to follow his heart. I'm going to replay this later on because I'm not whatever. Mm-hmm. But I said discernment. I will say
concernment. Yeah, she had it all.
I had it all. What I will say is that we really had to be intentional, because I think when we were in our funk, I will say that my only focus was the kids, because I was really, really upset with you. You were, being you, and
I'm gonna give you more credit to that. It probably felt like that, and you probably turned to that at times, but you were still there. You were still there. Yeah, you were still praying. You were still there for me. And when nobody, if you were just turning to that, you wouldn't have did all that stuff. So I'm gonna give you more credit than you're giving yourself on that one.
Okay. Well, for how it felt for me was that I'm gonna stay in my corner with these children till God speaks and reveals it to him.
Yeah, but you were still doing more than that, though.
Okay.
You were.
Was I?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh.
You were still coming to me like, "Oh, read this." You're still educating, still doing this and that. You just did it in a softer and a non-forceful way. I mean, you were still very much helping, because if I'd been left to my own devices, no, you actually helped. It just wasn't. You just switched up how you were doing.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. That's not how it felt, but okay.
Yeah. You think back on some things, because I can still remember you saying read. I remember key points where you were like,
did I throw the book at you?
No,
right.
That's
what I wanted to do.
That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if you blocked it out, but you were.
While I was holding one kid and one kid was on here. Read this. Okay. All right. I'll take it. I'll take it. I was more mature than I thought, because I thought that we were in a funky. It was bad, and I didn't think that I gave you that much grace. I mean, I think it was just I was coming from a very hurt place, but I couldn't retaliate and be like you, because we had these children.
Yeah, but no, and plus I wouldn't just. Yeah, no, that wasn't how you weren't. You were way more graceful than that.
Okay. All righty then. So once we got through that phase, because that was some years, that was and that's when our youngest were very, very young, and I think we just kind of came together and was like, listen, we gotta redo some things, resituate some things. And I don't know, do you think that there was ever a time that you didn't feel like you were number one for me? I mean, number two after God. Was there ever any time for that?
Yeah, I'm sure there were, but I mean, part of it was probably, what can I say? Like, there's wants and there's needs. There's some things that are wants and there's some things that are needs. And I think people get them confused. So, I mean, some of them was just my wants and me throwing tantrums and having wants, and then some of them were actually needs. So. But I think there were more wants that I don't want to say I was whiny about and throwing tantrums, but that's basically some of the junk was just that. But I think once the needs were met, and the unmet needs got flipped around and stuff for both of us, I think that's when we actually, came to the table full-heartedly.
Okay. Yeah, because I think for me, like there was, like I said, during that time, there was always that struggle. Am I there? Because like
no, I don't know what you mean. Am I there?
Am I second after God? Like, because it wasn't necessarily like your job or anything.
You gotta remember, we weren't thinking that. At first, we didn't have this in place, so we weren't sitting there going, "Am I second?" But yeah, I mean,
or am I even important? Am I even top? Am I even in the top 5?
Right.
Because,
and I know we both have felt that, because I think I've come to you and said that. So I know that's a real thing. But again, and you're close with your family, so there's times where I'm getting ruts, and I'm like, hey, and I've had to come to you and say this or that. But knowing now, I know that was part of what I was supposed to do, was come to you. I mean, I thought I was supposed to know. Why wasn't I already there, or why wasn't what am I not doing to make you want me there in that position, in that pole position, so
Mhm.
after we learn the tools we use, then we got to the point where it's like it's part of my job to communicate that. But yeah, at the time, yeah, I was just like, I think I'm this or that. Why can't I get that? Can I get that spot? Why you
Right.
looking at why you doing this and why you? Yeah, that was
Okay. All right.
no doubt.
Yeah. So I think like now we're in a space where, and it's been for a minute that we are intentional about putting each other um, up there, like
Yeah,
before the jobs, before the outside distractions.
yeah.
I know you joke about the whole me being on the phone too much, but
Hmm.
but I think the intentionality on both our parts is leaps and bounds of what it used to be, and
Right.
that comes with our communication.
Because I think for you, for a while, you were like wanted me just that's where you are, so I don't have to show it, or I don't need to make you feel that way or tell you.
Yeah.
And I felt like you got to do all those little things.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess, okay, real talk. And I guess because we went through so much mess in the beginning, I kind of felt like I had a whole bunch of points on this end. Like,
hmm
where's that grace for everything that, we had went through? Like, where were my I don't know,
so
get out of jail coupons or something?
so the way I heard that when you would say that, the way I experienced that when you would say that is like our dog. Like I fed you, sit right there. I've done this or that. Sit right there. You don't need nothing. Sit right there and wait until I feel like making you feel better, or until I say bark, little mutt. That's how I received what you were saying right there, because it was like, especially with my ego, I was like, what?
But that clearly was not my
I'm telling you
intention.
how I experienced it.
You're right. Okay.
That's that when you would be like, oh, I ain't got to tell you look good, or I ain't got to stroke your ego. You be alright. I'll be like, huh?
Okay. Okay. You're right.
Look,
Yes,
yes, okay,
once
Ref.
that pyramid is built, you can release those feelings of competing for the top. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, you're
Absolutely.
right. So I think we are definitely on a space where, and I think even like my family, like they kind of know, like if I'm over there for a certain, okay, gotta go because we need to spend time together, like because I like, and I think it really boils down to I like him. And I think when you have that relationship where you can have fun together, I like being around you. So yeah, when I'm gone away from you from so long, I'm just like, okay, I'm kind of missing that connection.
Yep.
And so I think the like, yes, and that makes that person, yes, I am your priority, and that makes it a lot easier when we can laugh and we do have that fun together. So when we are not with each other, we kind of miss that.
We do, yeah.
And so
and you're like, we're my partner, we're my role.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
makes a big difference.
Yeah. And then, like I said, that comes with the constant communication. I think when you can get to the point where you can talk about everything, I think I used to call you my best friend, and you didn't want to be that because best friend to you is you solving stuff, and best friend to me is like I just need to vent sometimes.
I just said I didn't want to be it. I just don't think I understood, like, because I know you have some. I guess I wanted my own title. So yeah, best friend wasn't.
Oh, so you don't want the best friend?
My best.
Oh,
it's more than that for me. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good title. Don't get me wrong, but
you don't want
that's like vice president to me. That's like I'm it. To me, that's yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, like, this is the first time I've heard this, but okay.
Ain't nothing wrong with best friend. I get that. I mean, what you got? I think some.
I got some good friends that you call best friend. Let them be my best friend. Yeah. And you want that other spot just to yourself?
It is just mine. Ain't no I want. That's my spot.
All right. Okay. I lost my train of thought. Okay. Duly noted. Okay. Yes,
Okay, that's what I'm
5 days
talking
is our max number of days apart.
about. I
Yes,
like
and
that.
she doesn't really miss people.
I like that.
Yes, I agree. When I was
I like that.
traveling for my job, yeah, towards the end of that week, we would both be like, ugh, this is enough.
Hey, Marcus, that's right. She goes out of town sometimes for weeks at a time. I think you had 2 of them back to back.
Yeah, it was not happy.
I was like, that can't never happen again. That can't never happen again.
Yeah,
And that was back in
that was
2010 or
yeah,
something.
that was years ago. Yeah, I had a back to back.
2012,
Yeah,
something like that. It
Yeah.
never happened again.
And I went back
you
to
could
work.
tell. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, I went back to work and told him like, yo, I cannot go on 2 back to back trips. Like,
I come in there and heard one of them news. I was like, nah.
And so I think they were like, well, your husband can't handle the kids. I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with that. We just cannot be apart for that amount of time. Like that.
Yes.
That's not gonna work for us.
Right. Yes, Ellen, husband. Yes.
Number one husband.
Yeah. Yep. Like I think I heard you talking. You were talking to somebody on the phone, and you were like, "Oh, you were going to get that battery replacement on my account." I was like, "Yeah, just tell him, give him my number, whatever." You were like, "Yeah, my husband." See, you ain't say my best friend. You said my husband has this account here. That dude got you your stuff, handled it, and you was in and out of there, right?
So, you're right.
Yeah, I think
He is not my best friend. I have best friends. He is my husband.
I'm just saying it's different.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So with making sure that you're maintaining the priority level with the spouse, I think we have to deal with flexibility. And like I said, I think that comes, it's gotten a lot easier now that the kids are older. Let me see, what's that question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. But I think even Tracy shared that with us. Like, she had to kind of rearrange that thought process.
Because But like I said, I know people that girls that feel that the kid is right there, but I think society makes it that way too. You do not see, even in movies or anything, where there's that team effort when there's children. Like the mom is basically doing all the stuff, the dad he's the provider, but where is the team effort? And so where is the order? Like I just think society does not push the importance of the order. The team effort. Yeah. I think
it's kind of like a watered down team effort. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I think that it really has to be something that is intentional, and when we're feeling that way, it has to be spoken as well. Yeah, that is all him losing hearing in his left eye. Mm-hmm. Yes. So with the flexibility, I think we have to communicate what that looks like, because there are weeks when it is nothing but the kids, especially before our son got his driver's license.
Okay, I remember that, Mr. Mom.
Okay, so I never saw that. So I was sheltered. So Mr. Mom was a team effort. Okay. But I think it's few and far between. I don't think that, and I don't. So what I don't think that they show the wife and husband, revering each other as that. Mm-hmm. I think
that's a good point.
I think it's always the kids. That's
a good point.
I mean, either the dad or the mom. So I kind of feel like, I don't know. That's iffy with me. I've never seen it.
No, you're right. It's like it has to be just like when you see a group and they want to break up your favorite group and make it one person go. They just got to mess with stuff. I don't know. Right. Don't want it to be right.
Okay. I get that. And I think for like building rituals is another thing that has kept us where we are seeing each other as that important position. We try to make sure that we go away, every once in a while, just us. Mm-hmm. Even if it means, getting your dad to come over to hang out, and our kids are, they're technically self-sufficient, but I still, want an adult just in case. So I think us doing that where we, get away, even if it's just a day or two, and I know for you, like some days I just have to take off a day. so we can spend the day together. I think that there should be that
because of our schedules.
Yeah, because of our schedules. I think that intentional effort, because we don't have weekends off together except Sundays, but we're normally running around doing church stuff. So we don't have like a day where it's just dedicated.
Which is why, which she said earlier, some days I go, there's this many Sundays, and I'm like, okay, this one we're going to do this. So.
And I can normally tell when he's at that limit because he's very short on a lot of things. And his patience he's almost hangry, but yeah, a little bit over hangry level. And so I'm like, oh, I think he needs some one-on-one time, and I think everybody needs one-on-one time with their spouse, with no distractions, and not just even it doesn't have to even be a night. I think there's some days we just have to go in the middle of the day and just do something, 5 or 10 minutes. So then there goes the quality over quantity. I think when you're intentional and you're making those bids of connection and you getting the quality out of them, I think that goes a lot farther than us just on this day we're gonna meet and we're just gonna sit here and just look.
Right.
So
yeah.
I think that you have to balance that.
You have to have some of those, but yeah, that seems to quench a little more. You know what I mean?
Helps you, yeah. And it kind of helps you, recalibrate and get back to once again liking your spouse. I think that has all. I mean, because I think you can really love a person, but you might not like them, and I think you have to cultivate the liking of a person to want to be around them all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it helps me go back to work. It helps me do a lot. I mean, it helps me in every aspect, really. Just okay. Because I can go back to work like, I don't know. And then I'm going, and they can tell sometimes because I'm like, what? So, it definitely helps.
And there's some days you go to work just with lots of energy.
Yep.
And a smile on your face.
And everybody's happy.
And everybody is happy. Well.
Anyway.
All right. So let's see. So we've talked about boundaries. We talked about the team approach, quality over quantity. Communication check-ins. I cannot, those are so important. Now that we have a word for it, because I think initially we didn't know what they were, but I think communication check-ins are crucial. Whether you do them at the end of the week, just to decompress and, tell your spouse how the week is going, or you do them at the beginning of the week so you can set goals. Sometimes we'll do it at the beginning, like this week, we need to make sure that we're intentionally putting time in for each other. We need to take one day and go out to eat or go shopping together, do something. Yeah.
Yeah, because I noticed when we don't do that, at least when we do that, one of us is able to get something scheduled. Okay. When we do it that way, or we're not scheduling stuff where we're bumping into where we can't get that done somewhere.
Right.
So if something starts coming up during the week and we've already said that, we're like, wait a minute, and then we go back again to one another and say, can this still work, or should I just cancel this and make it another month or something? So So I think the beginning is a little better, but if you can't do the beginning, then at least at the end, because then that way we'll go into the next week.
Right. And then deciphering your wants versus your needs. You can elaborate on
that. A lot of people get that mixed up. A lot of debt in our nation, right? A lot of debt, a lot of credit cards maxed out because people don't know their needs from their wants, and they get a little out of hand. To me. Okay. So I think when you start going and you can kind of start self-checking yourself, like, okay, and start knowing the difference. You can still get your wants. You can still do that, but, prioritize, just like we were talking about with other things, prioritize your needs over your wants, and then, handle those things first and address them, and then you can play hard. But,
okay,
get your studying, get your work done first.
Okay.
Get your self-work done first. Get that work done first, and then play hard. Okay. That's my motto. That's always been.
Yeah, and then once you figure out the wants and needs, you also have to make sure that they're not unrealistic.
Touche.
Unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
So, which comes with, Because what do you think I can do? I can't.
You can do.
I
We
cannot.
can stretch. We can do yoga. You can do some things. We're gonna work it out. There's some things that ain't unrealistic that you might think you can't get to 15 pounds. We on 5 this week. We're gonna get you to 15. We can do it.
I don't even know what he's talking about right now.
So much you lifting weights.
Oh, okay.
See, that's you being. Anyway, wow.
To wrap this up.
Carry the one. I don't know how she did that one, but anyway.
Wow.
Look, okay, see? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so yeah, I want it all. And that's me. That is him. He wants it all.
That's me.
I have to
if
bring
not,
him back.
Put the effort in. Let's try this thing. And then
let's try so we can get it all. I'm like, we can't.
As long as we safe and we got nets and stuff, we good. I think you could try, put the effort in. I think it's just the effort. So okay, we tried that. We good. Move on. What, you don't? No?
I'm not. I'm not.
You're just scared right now. It's okay. Gotta breathe through that thing. Relax.
Okay, thank you everybody for sitting with us today, because this is going into a territory that
healthy.
Everybody have a wonderful week. We will be back next week. Oh goodness, as we
preach.
I keep losing my train of thought. Everybody have a wonderful week. Make sure that you are, oh my goodness, being intentional about everything that you do with each other this week. Make sure that you are getting those little love pockets in. It's cuffing season, so I did learn that that's something for singles, but I think married people can do it. We can. It's cold, and I like to cuddle because I don't like being cold. So everybody enjoy cuffing season.
Communicate with care. Yes. And connect with intention.
Communicate with care and connect with intention. We will see everybody next week.